but there was nothing really in front of that other than one boy, Amad Diallo, or you called it the Diallo Derby, which is a beautiful line because, and I called it sort of probably 30 minutes, maybe in the first half. And he was the player we featured before the game. He's the only player, that's playing anything like with a freedom and energy and enthusiasm, a tenacity and something of a belief that represents what you'd expect.
They were in the game during 90 minutes, and that is really important. Then you don't control the result, but I think we deserve it. This win, it was a good day for us.
We'll get back to our illustrious former captain Gary Neville in just a quick second. Also Ruben, our current manager. We'll get back to him in just a second too. But remember, if you like this content, if you like what I've got to say, if you like the clips that I comment on, please like, share and subscribe. And also, I want to know what you're thinking. If you disagree with anything that I say, that's fine. Freedom of speech and all that good stuff. Put it in the comments. If you've got something on your mind that really riles you up, that winds you up, that sends you potty because of what something Gary Neville says, or Roy Keane, or Ruben Amorim, or whoever it is, please put it in the comments. But anyway, what I want you to think about while you're watching the rest of the clips, I want you to think about how each and every player in the squad who has played has been doing under the new manager, Ruben Amorim, because in this video, I want to talk about the players specifically, and how each of them have fared over the past few weeks, and maybe just sort of clarify one or two things and point a couple of things out which I think may be fair, unfair. Well, you'll just have to see after the clips. But anyway, I want you to think about that, and then afterwards I will give you my thoughts on that matter, and I want to hear your thoughts. So remember, in the comments. Anyway, here's the voice.
Well, Ruben, as you seek to change and transform and take Manchester United forward, does this feel like a massive, massive moment?
I think for everyone, it's just 3 points. We have a lot to do, but it was massive for our fans. But I see the same game until the 85 minute. So maybe our conversation would be so much different without two goals, but the performance would be the same. So let's focus. I think they did a very good job. And they were in the game during 90 minutes, and that is really important. Then you don't control the result, but I think we deserve it. This win, it was a good day for us.
Could you see it coming at all?
No, you can feel it that we were near to score. We improve our speed when we make our runs, and we had some opportunities with that. We controlled very well Haaland and the other guys in the offense of City, and then in the end we believe it. And when we score the first one, you feel it. You feel it in the team. They wanted more, and then congratulations to the lads.
When you're starting a new project and you need people to believe in it and come with you, surely a win like that, because you just said it's just 3 points, but a win like that helps people to believe, it helps the players to follow, surely.
Of course, it's really important, but when this game finished, I remember 1 week ago in the Storm, we were 3-1 down with Nottingham at home, and that feeling I always keep that feeling for these days, to not carry away. It's 3 points. We need it a lot. We needed a lot. This team needed a lot, but we did a great job. So it was, like I said, a good game for us.
You're quite business-like. Are you already? And I think I saw you the first one down the tunnel. Is your head already full of details, things that weren't right, onto the next match almost immediately?
It's more the problem with Mason Mount and Noose. You think right away. You go in the tunnel and you think right away, because we have a lot of games. And you know that you need to continue to win, because this will change if we don't win the next game. So, yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, I mean, that looked really sad with Mason Mount, and he's a good guy. I think that's sort of widely felt in the football world. It feels like he'll be a really good fit with your style as well. How bad is the injury?
Yeah, it's really fit our style. He'll continue to fit because he's a very good player. and also outside the pitch. He's the kind of character that I want in this team, and we want as a club. In this team, he has a movement that was not like something that he make a sprint. He makes a movement, stretch his leg, and they felt something. So it was bad luck. It was nothing with the problems with the body of Mason Mount. It was a bad movement, and then we are going to recover, and because we needed.
Yeah, and in terms of players who look a really good fit for you and your style, Amad, your match winner today.
Yeah, it was. I said it already. It was also a work with Eric that bring that kid, and then Ruth did a great job, and we continue that job. He can play both positions, but in this position, in this kind of game, his ability to run with the ball is really important. But all the players fit in my system. They just, if they want, they are talented. Every player in our squad can fit in this system because this is a normal system.
So there are still going to be a lot of questions about Rashford and Garnacho and the decision you made at the start of the day or yesterday. What do they have to do to fit in, to be part of what's happened today?
It was nothing special. Finish one game, start a new week, new life. So if they train well, they will compete for the place in the team. If they are better than the other guys in all the situations inside and outside the pitch, they will playing because they are really talented, and we need a lot of Garna and Rush.
Yeah, but I guess when you say if they train well, if I'm honest, it makes me think they haven't been training well.
No. It's the same for everybody. What I'm saying is, in this next week, if they train well like the others, because I don't know the future. So if they train well, like it's the same for every player, they will play. Or on the bench, because it's really important, the guys on the bench.
So it's just one decision for one game. Maybe not the big deal I'm making of it.
That's I think is an important thing to say. It was not a disciplinary thing. It's something that we have to improve our standards as a club. We are doing that outside the pitch, inside the pitch, and it was just a normal week. And they will get used to do this, and that thing will improve the quality of the squad.
Thank you. Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Did you enjoy that? There's so much more, so why not hit subscribe and download the Optus Sport app?
Difficult to. I mean, sometimes something's happen in football. I mean, it was a really poor game, wasn't it? Just quality. Both teams lacking in confidence and belief and not playing anywhere near their levels. City, obviously, in particular, just, I mean, what the hell? I mean, 1 win in 11 matches, 8 defeats. It's unbelievable watching with City. And from Manchester United winning, just one man. I mean, ultimately, there were a couple of other decent performances. I thought actually Maguire, De Ligt and Martinez did okay as a back three. I think that they were quite solid. But there was nothing really in front of that other than one boy, Amad Diallo, or you called it the Diallo Derby, which is a beautiful line because, and I called it sort of probably 30 minutes, maybe in the first half. And he was the player we featured before the game. He's the only player. Mazraoui actually, I think, shows a little bit of spirit in his game, but he's the only player that's playing anything like with a freedom and energy and enthusiasm, a tenacity and something of a belief that represents what you'd expect in a Premier League football player playing for the club. The rest of them really are struggling, confidence-wise, quality-wise. The club's struggling on and off the pitch at this moment in time, but this kid is, you know, a lot of them can hide behind the excuses, oh, it's difficult time, cultural problems. We've all said the things over the last 10 years, poor recruitment. But when you play football like you're a kid, and he's never stopped thinking of football like he's playing on the street, like he's playing in, you know, Wayne Rooney was exactly the same. They're street football players, and they believe they should get it and beat men and attack men and take the ball and take risks. And he did all the way through the game. It was always going to come down that far side. I mean, it came on this near side. He set up the penalty by hard work, pressing, closing down, and then obviously the winner, that will live with him forever. It's a magical moment for him, it really is. And I said at the end of the game, I couldn't say United deserved to win the game. I couldn't say City deserved to win the game. It was probably, a draw may have been fair because it was average, it was woeful at times. But Amad Diallo deserved to win the game because he was the one player on the pitch who looked like something.
And those of us who aren't partisan at all and just love watching football, you hope that he can retain that innocent
Yeah.
love for the game, don't
Yeah.
you? Because we began, and we don't need to go here now, we've got a match to talk about, but we began the afternoon dealing with Marcus Rashford, who was once that person.
Yeah.
You know, innocent and carefree and
Yeah.
scoring beautifully. And it's Amad's turn to have that moment, and you just wish for him that he can keep it for life.
I'm not going all philosophical, but one of my favourite lines in a song is actually one of an Oasis lines in a song which says, whilst we're living, the dreams we have as children fade away. And I always remind myself of that song to think, never become cynical, never become unexcited by what you're doing. It's a privilege to be doing a Premier League game. It's a privilege to play for Manchester United. It looks like a chore sometimes out there for some of the players. We'll come on to Garnacho and Rashford. They've been left out today. A spectacularly bold call by Ruben Amorim that would have leaves big question marks over those two and what's happened. But you have to the passion to play football and the spirit and the work ethic, it will always trump talent. It really will. Doesn't matter if you've got more talent. If you've got someone who's fighting for every single ball like their life depends upon it, and the way in which even Amad closes people down to win the ball back and harass and hustle, there's a desperation to his game to do everything he possibly can. And it's obvious you can't kid football fans, you can't kid commentators or co-commentators. We can all see it with our own eyes. And at the end, when he wins the game, he's kissing his badge and he throws his shirt into the crowd. All that is because it comes from the heart, it comes from a soul. It's a feeling playing football. Of course you've got to play with your head. Of course you've got to learn tactics. Of course you've got to do all those things. But the very basics of the game are about endeavour and spirit and taking risks and doing things that you would as a kid, and that can never leave you. And it's left a lot of these Manchester United players, but it's not left him. And even in difficult times, it proves that you don't have to be an experienced player to play well in a difficult time. He's a young player, he's 22 years of age, and an absolute joy and a shining light today for Manchester United. He really was.
So what, obviously facile, such a basic question with such a big answer, but what can this do for Manchester United?
They were breaking every single record, or are breaking every single record in the wrong direction. 42% of the goals conceded from corners, losing 15 matches away from home against the top six. Lowest points tally in Premier League history. Ruben Amorim, the manager, with the least points tally, I think, after 4 games. All those things are just negative stats. What that can do to win a game, to win here, I know they're in a bad run, but to win here takes something. And for Ruben Amorim, it's huge. And for the players, it must give them a huge boost. They've got a massive game on Thursday night against Tottenham in the Carabao Cup. But they'll go into that game now. I'm just looking at Ruben Amorim here. He's got that little bit of bounce back in his face. It's obviously a tough job being a football manager, and he's taken on one of the biggest jobs in the world. And it's been a sobering start, really, because he's realised and recognised the size of the task. I think probably those United fans and us who've been watching this club for 10 years recognised it already, but he came in with great enthusiasm, maybe in the back of his mind thinking, yeah, it's definitely going to be tough, but I'm hoping to see a bounce from these players, and he's not seen it until now. And that's a big break, because we've not seen that, Peter. We've been coming here now under Pep Guardiola for 7, 8, 9 seasons, however long it's been, and it's been methodical, it's been at times mundane, because it's been so simple for Manchester City, and they've been the ones who've always won in the last minute, and it's not quite happening for them at this moment in time. But for Ruben Amorim, it's a huge moment. It really is. And for those United fans that are still locked in that far corner, we saw their faces, didn't we, with about 5 minutes to go, and they were sort of like helpless. There was no way I thought United would get back in that game. But it's a big boost, huge boost, and should give them a lot of confidence. And confidence is obviously something that can't be discounted.
Yeah, it's the morning after the big result, and just been kind of mulling over how the players have done, and just watching a couple of clips as well, just to sort of, just to get the mind going. And I wanted to hear, obviously, about what the manager had to say as well. And I saw a little thing of Gary Neville pop up as well. And, it's always interesting to hear what he's saying, because it's 50-50 or not, whether or not I agree with Gary Neville these days. Footballing matters anyway. And it just kind of inspired me to make a little video about how each player has been faring, because a lot is said about Manchester United. The dreaded microscope always focuses on every tiny, minute negative thing, and that gets blown out of proportion, and then Manchester United become a meme, and then sometimes it can circle back round onto the players. It can affect their confidence in a detrimental fashion, and then they start playing worse, and then it circles back round, and it's just a vicious cycle. So I wanted to take this time just to go through sort of the players that have been playing, and whether or not they've done well or not, and how they've fared under the new regime, the new 3-4-3. So here goes. I mean, the 3-4-3. I've said this before. I think it really suits the squad. I don't think there is any need for any kind of massive rebuild. I don't think Ruben Amorim needs to replace loads of players. Not at all. I don't think he will replace loads of players. He might cherry pick one or two just to tighten a couple of bits up. That's fine. But overall, I think the squad is 95% there. And I think that's evidenced in how well the players have taken to the 3-4-3. It's been working really well. I mean, it is a little bit rusty. There are a little bit of sort of creases that need ironed out in it and whatnot, and that's just understandable because it's a completely different system to what Erik ten Hag played. But yeah, this new 3-4-3 seems to really suit the squad that we have got. Excuse me, morning coffee. And that's in contrast, stark contrast to Erik ten Hag, because Erik ten Hag didn't really have the players that suited his style, because he was very adamant playing 4-2-3-1, and he didn't have the wingers to play that high press 4-2-3-1. Didn't have the wingers, didn't have them, or maybe he did, and they didn't perform for him. He didn't have the right players to play that system, and fortunately for Ruben Amorim, it's not so much that he's come in and he's this new genius. It's just the players that we have got just suit that style. And it's evidence in how we've been playing. The results haven't gone 100% our way just yet, but you can see that something's building there. But even when we have been beaten, I mean, we haven't looked too bad. Not really. Even the Arsenal game, we didn't look too bad. We just got beat. That was it. The players were just still getting used to that system. But anyway, so the formation is fine, I think, so far. Onana, he's certainly improved on last season. He's made some fantastic saves. He's made a couple of blunders as well. But generally speaking, so far this season, I'll probably give him a 7 out of 10. I'll give him a 7. Just based on how big a contrast between now and last season. It's been a dramatic improvement on that front. So yeah, I'll give him a 7 out of 10, and fine. I mean, the 3-4-3. I mean, does it affect him that much being a goalkeeper? I suppose it affects how he passes the ball out from the back. Fine. So 7 out of 10. Fine. Back three. Okay, so who have we got to choose from on the back three? Well, we've got 6 centre backs to choose from on the back three. So we've got De Ligt, we've got Martinez, we've got Yoro, we've got Johnny Evans, we've got Lindelof, and we have got Harry Maguire. I haven't really seen much of Lindelof or Yoro at the moment, or Johnny Evans, not really. Maguire's played a couple of times. He seems to suit the three at the back, so but it's hard to give him a score. He played well against Man City though, so I'll give him that. But Harry Maguire, Harry Maguire's an interesting one because he was always the victim of that massive transfer fee that was thrust upon him, being a world record for a defender. He was never that good. I mean, Harry Maguire's always been a good, solid Premier League footballer, and that's that. And I'll tell you what, he's got the right mentality to be a Manchester United player. If his talent was as strong as his mentality, his will and his drive to be a footballer, then he'd be an absolute world beater. But Harry Maguire is the type of player that's made the most of what talent that he has, and God bless him. So yeah, I like Harry Maguire because there was a time there where his form was was plummeting, and he became a meme, and the dreaded microscope. Excuse me, and the dreaded microscope zeroed in on him, and yeah, he became a meme. But he pulled that round, and he got a bit of form back, and I think he earned a lot of people's respect because of that. So yeah, Harry Maguire. So I'm going to give him. I'll give him a 6 out of 10, but only because he hasn't really played that much. Now the other ones are. So Yoro hasn't played. De Ligt, I love De Ligt. I think he's slotted in quite well. He's solid at the back, reminds me of Vidic. I think he's a world-class defender. I think he's just going to get better and better and better. So, Matthijs de Ligt, so far, I'm going to give him... I like him, so I'm going to give him an 8. All things considered, he's had 3 managers so far this season, 2 different formations. He's come in... new surroundings. He's been like a duck in water. He really suits the club. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 so far this season. Some of you might scoff at that, but Matthijs de Ligt, he's a player. And I think we're really lucky to have him. And we got him for a snip. 40 million or something? Wow. Considering he was going for about 80 million 4 years ago when Ollie wanted him. Good player. Martinez, it's nice to see him play some games. He's been injured a lot during his time at United, so I'm really happy that he's staying fit and he seems to be forging a nice partnership there with Matthijs de Ligt. The signs there that they are going to form a really, really solid defensive partnership. Yeah, I like him, and he suits the 3 at the back as well. Matthijs de Ligt, just going back to him, he's very tactically astute, so he can slot in there, and it's very much the Dutch play 3 at the back loads of times, so they're very tactically astute, the Dutch. So it's just a question of who plays alongside them at the back. Now Mazraoui's been playing there, and Mazraoui, he's very tactically astute, he's very skillful. Very intelligent footballer, very hard working, and considering we got him for 11 million, what a player. Yeah, Mazraoui. Bayern Munich, what's going on at Bayern Munich? Maybe it's got something to do with Kompany, because I don't think Vincent Kompany is a good manager. How he got that Bayern job, I have no idea. But the fact that he's let Mazraoui and De Ligt go in the same window, and the way they're playing for Manchester United so far, it's like, oh my word. So yeah, Mazraoui playing there, he's done really well, and I think time will show that he will be the bargain buy of the season of any club. Mazraoui, Nusay Mazraoui. So yeah, he's good, and what I've liked about him so far as well is. He's very versatile, so he's played in the back 3. He's played at right wing back, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's played at left wing back as well. And he's good enough to play all of those positions. So yeah, Mazraoui, good player, very, very good player. So the full back positions. So I mean, Malacia and Luke Shaw, they haven't really played that much. I mean, we all know Luke Shaw's a really good player when he wants to be. And when he's fit. So, hang on, I didn't give Martinez and Mazraoui their score. So far, Mazraoui, he's getting a 9 out of 10. He's been brilliant. Brilliant. He's team form proof. So whether United have played bad or not, he's always been a solid 8 out of 10 in any game that he's played. So because of that, he's getting a 9 out of 10 overall. So yeah, Martinez, give him a 7. Give him a 7. Especially after that pass to Diallo because against Man City, because that was not a fluke. Because I've watched him do that pass a few times this season. And I said this on a previous video, the only difference between the Man City game and the other times was what the person that he's passed to has done with it in the end. And in this instance, Diallo scored, and it was a big goal and it was a big finish. And that was all because of Martinez's vision and his persistence with that move. So, yeah, he's getting a solid 7. I like Martinez. I really like him. So Luke Shaw, so he's not getting a score. Malacia's not getting a score. There are two good players. Well, Luke Shaw is. Malacia, I think it remains to be seen. He could be a good player, I'm sure, but he hasn't played, so I can't really give him too much of an assessment. I can't help but think United are going to be in the market for the left back. I think that's inevitable because as good as Luke Shaw is and as good as Malacia potentially could be, they're just not fit enough. They're just too injury prone. So I think they're going to go all out for Alphonso Davies. And there's some really good left wing backs out there in world football at the moment. There's Davies, there's Theo Fernandez, there's Zach Kirkes as well. He's good on Football Manager. Hey, he might even go for the doggy at Spurs because he's a good player. So time will tell on that front, but I can't really give those guys a score. Right wing back, well, I mean, who's played at right wing back so far? Well, it's been Dalot, it's been Diallo, I think Anthony's had a game there, and Mazraoui, but we've already scored Mazraoui, and I'll get to Diallo and Anthony in a moment. So we're going to say Dalot. I like Dalot. I like him. I do. I like him. I think he's come on leaps and bounds since he signed for United. He always seems to put the effort in. He suits the 3-4-3. I don't think he's as good as Mazraoui in defence, but then again, I think he's better than Mazraoui going forward. And I think he's a very skillful player. He's very useful. I like Dalot. I'm going to give him a 6. I'll give him a 6 out of 10 so far. Yeah, 6 out of 10. And he can play on the left, he can play on the right. He suits this system. He hasn't been too bad at all. Central midfielders. Kobbie Mainoo hasn't really played. He hasn't really played that much. I can't really remember him doing too much so far this season. He's clearly a gifted player, and I really like him. But it's difficult to sort of give him a score. So just because I really like him, and probably residue from last season as well, where he was immense, I'll give him a 6 because he hasn't really done anything wrong yet either. So he's just been kind of there, and there's been a lot of upheaval, and so we're going to give him a 6 out of 10. I think Ugarte, I think he's just getting better and better with each and every game. I don't understand some of the criticism he's been getting. In fact, it's almost like he's a little bit of Marmite because people have been criticising him, but then again, there's been other people like myself who I think he's added a bit of steel at the back, and anyone that's played alongside him, particularly Casemiro, has played really, really well. And I think he's benefited Casemiro because when Casemiro's played so far this season in midfield, post Eric Ten Hag, shall we say, anyway, I think he's played really well. And to be fair, I mean, aside from that Liverpool match, Casemiro's done all right so far this season, I think. I think he's done all right. And I think Casemiro and Ugarte played really well together because Casemiro's like the old head in midfield, and And having someone with legs, like there's footballers like walking around with peg legs. You know what I mean? Having someone more youthful and a little bit more energetic and, you know, a little bit more stamina alongside, you know, the wise old head of Casemiro, I think just benefits Casemiro, and it benefits Ugarte as well. So Ugarte, whoever he's played with, I think has just flourished because he just adds that little bit of steel. So I'm going to give Ugarte a 7 out of 10 so far. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, and I think that could rise as well as the season progresses. Casemiro, I'll give Casemiro a 6.5 out of 10 so far this season. Who else has been playing in central midfield? Who else? So, Eriksen, he hasn't really played that much, really, has he? I can't remember him doing too much so far. I don't really want to give him a score. Okay. So the number 10 positions. So who's played at the number 10 position so far this season? So we've had Bruno, we've had Amad. I think Anthony's had a game there. Mason Mount's had a game there. Xerxes had a game there. Rashford's had a game there. Garnacho's had a game there. Bruno, I think United would be lost without Bruno Fernandes. We'd be absolutely lost. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, our best player and has been for a number of years. He's been our best player since we bought him. And I understand why people get frustrated with him and because he does a lot of moaning and stuff like that, but that's because he cares. He cares. Would you rather see him mope about like Marcus Rashford, or would you rather see him get stuck in and be an ankle biter to the referee and I mean, he runs his socks off every single game. I mean, touch wood, the guy seems to be injury proof, and that's what you want. He's this generation's Brian Robson. Brian Robson carried Man United in the 80s, and he's been carrying Manchester United since he signed. He's absolutely fantastic. You take Bruno Fernandes out of that team, it's not the same team. So be careful what you wish for. I mean, how some United fans say that, oh yeah, I think it might be time for a move. Yeah, it might be time. What? Time? Are you insane? Anyone that says Bruno Fernandes needs to leave Manchester United, and if they are Manchester United fans, please give them a verbal slap. Verbal slap. Don't actually slap them, because I don't want you to get arrested, and I don't want to incite violence, and I'm not inciting violence. I'm saying give them a verbal slap. Tell them they are talking nonsense, because Bruno Fernandes is an absolute world-class player. He's probably the best number 10 in world football, and if he was playing for any other top side that was organised and that was challenging for titles, he would be in Ballon d'Or contention every single season. And I don't care what anyone says, he's better than Kevin De Bruyne. So Bruno Fernandes, I'm giving him an 8. Giving him an 8 because what he does for that team is just it's unreal. It's unreal. Even when he plays badly, he's getting a 7. So and against Man City, I mean, I thought he was crap for 75% of the game, but then that last 25%, he's involved in winning the game, or at the very least involved in helping us win the game. I mean, he scored the penalty, you know. So I like Bruno. I think this YouTube channel and this YouTuber is a fan of Bruno Fernandes. Mason Mount. Yeah, Mason Mount. It was sad to see him go off against Manchester City. He clearly wants to be a success at Manchester United, and whenever he's played, he looks like he puts the effort in. So it just hasn't quite, kicked in for him yet. So I'm going to give him a 6. 6 for effort. 6 for effort. And hopefully that will rise as the season progresses. Marcus Rashford, he's getting a 2 out of 10. I think his attitude stinks. Doesn't look like he's putting the effort in. Doesn't look like he wants it. We've spoken a lot about Marcus Rashford on this channel. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but Whenever I've seen him, I've not been impressed. Even when he scored a couple of goals under Ruben Amorim, I just don't like his attitude, unfortunately. I don't want to say that, but he just looks miserable and a little bit self-entitled, and he's walking around with these daft cardigans on and now going to watch the basketball like he's LeBron. It's like, oh, come on, mate. Yeah, so he's getting a 2 out of 10. Garnacho's headed down that same route, if you ask me, because I haven't liked his attitude so far this season. As I've mentioned before, when he was whinging about that YouTuber, not me, who gave him a little bit of constructive criticism and he had a little boo-boo face, even though 75,000 fans were chanting his name after he scored a goal. And it's like, come on, pal. You're not Ronaldo. You might like him and you might celebrate like him and you might score a worldie from time to time, but Ronaldo was Ronaldo, mate, So, do you know what? I'm going to give Garnacho a 4. He's getting a 4. 4 out of 10 so far this season for Garnacho, and that's all mainly down to attitude. Xerxes an interesting one. I think he has been headed down the meme route, which is unfortunate, really, because he's only been there 2 minutes, and all of a sudden, the dreaded microscope is zeroing in on him, and he's becoming a little bit of an internet victim. And I don't think he's done anything to warrant that, because he scored at his debut. He scored a couple of good goals, and when he's played right as a deep line forward in one of the number 10 positions, say, he's looked quite tasty, and he looks like he's got a pass on him. He's got a good bit of vision, and he's got an eye for a goal. He's scored a couple of goals this season, don't forget. It's just that he sticks out like a sore thumb sometimes. Because he's a big lad, he's got a little bit of a Ruud Gullit haircut. But he actually plays a little bit like Ruud Gullit, so there's nothing wrong with that. So, he's only young, give the guy time. I think he could be a potential starter for Manchester United as the season and the seasons progress. So I think there's a player there in Joshua Xerxes. So I'm going to give him... a 7 out of 10 so far, all things considered. Yeah, I've been impressed so far. And I'm not going to fall into the trap of scapegoating him. No, not at all. Who else? Well, Amad, so far he's becoming the revelation of the season. Played really well against City. He looks like he wants it. He puts the effort in. He's a little ankle biter. He seems to want to win. He wants to succeed at Manchester United. He's quickly becoming a darling of the Stretford end. Amad Diallo has been an absolute revelation so far. He looks dangerous. I don't like him at right wing back. I like him in one of the number 10 positions. I think that's where he's best, because when he plays in one of the number 10 positions, so let's just say there's 3 attacking roles at Manchester United. There's the 2 number 10s and there's the number 9. Obviously he's not a number 9, but you stick him in one of the number 10 positions and he's got a free role to do what he wants and to close players down, because that's the beauty of the 3-4-3. It allows the front 3 players to just do what they want and allows them creative freedom to attack and press and to do all the good stuff that the team needs them to do, because it's solid in midfield and solid in defence. So yeah, he's just been fantastic. He looks nippy. He's got close control. He seems to be able to unlock a low block, and that's what this team needs. And that's what Erik ten Hag struggled with. He didn't really have players, or he didn't really utilise the right players to unlock teams that play on the low block that are difficult to break down. But Amad Diallo has played really well so far, and seems to be the player that is capable of doing that. He's very skillful, got good close control. I like him a lot. He's played well. Fair play to the lad. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. And most of that's because of the effort Because there's players in that team that's just as talented as Amad Diallo, but they don't put the effort in. And because Amad Diallo has been putting the effort in, he's reaping the rewards now, so God bless him. Anthony, well, he's barely played, so... He's barely played. One thing I will say with Anthony, he's become a meme, and he's suffered as well because of the dreaded microscope, and he's been going through over the past 12 months or so what Harry Maguire went through, what David De Gea went through. He's had his problems off the pitch. I think there's a player there. I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater, but I think there's a player there, and I think he's got a part to play in a Ruben Amorim system. But I'm not going to give him a rating. Because he hasn't really played that much. But he has scored some big goals. I mean, he scored against the Scousers in the FA Cup, in that big match that we played at Old Trafford in the FA Cup last season. He scored a goal there. I mean, I've seen him score good goals against Arsenal on his debut, for instance. So I still think there's something there with Anthony. We haven't seen the best of Anthony. And again, similar to Harry Maguire, he suffered from the price tag that we had to pay to get him, because whether or not he becomes an £85 million player, it remains to be seen. But I think we clearly overpaid for him. But that doesn't mean that he's a bad player. Is all I'm saying, and I think there's more to come. But I'm not going to give him a score on that one just yet. And that leaves Rasmus Højlund up front. Rasmus Højlund. I like Rasmus Højlund. I like him a lot. I think there is an absolute world-beating number 9 there. We've got a world beater on our hands with Rasmus Højlund, because he puts the effort in. He's built like a brick shit house. He wants it. And he just seems to suit Manchester United. He's a United fan growing up as well. That always helps. He wants to fight for the team. He's been very much a rough diamond since we signed him, but just slowly over time we've just been shaping him, and that's helped because he wants it as well, and the fans can tell that he wants it. And every time he comes off that pitch, whenever he's subbed or whenever the final whistle's blown, he looks absolutely shattered. Like he's ran his socks off. He's given everything for the team, and that's just fine by me. But the thing is as well, he's not just a big bruiser. I mean, he looks like He-Man, but he's really, really fast considering he's such a big lad, and he's got really good ball control as well. I mean, he's got a touch to die for. I mean, he scored a goal the other week where someone crossed the ball in for him, and he sort of touched it in midair, controlled it, and then volleyed it in. It was like, wow, whoa, that's some deft touch there. And I've seen goals where he's just dinked it over the goalie as well. So he's got a finish on him. He seems to be able to blast them. He's quite. He's scored quite a few different goals, really. He's done that little deft touch goal. He's dinked some balls over goalies. I remember he scored a goal last season where I think he sort of chested the ball in as well. So he's got imagination. So there's a player there. There's a player there. He's not just a big bruiser. He's intelligent. He's fast. He's creative. Like creative in the sense that he's creative with his finishing, as I've just sort of pointed out, with the chested goal, the little deft touch, little dink over the goalie as well. I mean, how old is he now? Is he 22? So I mean, what's he going to be like when he's 24? I think what's going to happen with Rasmus Højlund is, at some point, the penny is just going to drop, and then the goals are just going to come flowing. And I think we've got a 30-goal a season striker on our hands there with Rasmus Højlund. I really do. So Rasmus Højlund so far, his score He is getting a... I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 so far this season. So yeah, all things considered, I think Manchester United are headed in the right direction so far. That game against Man City yesterday seems to have certainly tilted us in the right direction. At the very least, under Ruben Amorim, so far, we look like we've been putting the effort in. And I hope that's not a case of the new manager bounce thing. I really hope it's not. But whenever we've played under Ruben Amorim so far, we look as though we've put the effort in, and that's fine by me. And as long as this team puts the effort in, we'll pick up wins. And if we pick up wins, we'll go up the table. And then who knows from there? And that's all Manchester United fans ask for. That's all I ask for. Because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. Football is entertainment. That's all. It's not life and death. It is merely a product for our entertainment. Now, if we're going to be paying the money that we pay to watch this shower, then at the very least, we want to see them put the effort in. We understand that form dips and it goes up and it goes down, it goes up and it goes down. We understand that, and we understand that players strive for consistency at times and all of that. And even I understand that these players get paid a lot of money, and that's fine. That's just the way football is. And there's nothing wrong with a player getting paid whatever they're getting paid. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless they're not putting the effort in. I wouldn't... And I think that's the biggest gripe with players like Marcus Rashford, right? You don't mind Marcus getting paid 350 grand a week. You don't mind, Lionel Messi getting paid £1 million a week, which is what he was getting paid at Barcelona in his prime. You don't mind that, as long as they put the effort in. I don't care what a player gets paid because God bless him, because I know if I was a gifted footballer and I was in that position, I'd want £1 million a week as well. But I would understand that if I'm getting paid that, at the very least, I need to put the effort in. That's it. Put the effort in. These players are talented players, and if they put the effort in, then I'm saying put the effort in a lot at the moment. If they put the effort in, then form will come. That's it. And this Manchester United team, as was proven yesterday, because it seems to have been a little bit of a tipping point yesterday, this squad is very talented. So as long as they work hard, put the effort in, then we'll be headed in the right direction. And as for players that don't put the effort in, well, they've got a decision to make. They either get on board or they get out the dressing room, and that's it. Because when I go to Old Trafford, I want to see that team win. That's it. And especially since these ticket prices are going up to £66 a pop, which is criminal. At the very least, the team can perform. So, but yeah, that's my ratings. What do you guys think? I mean, this is quite a long video for me, this. Thank you for those who have stayed so far and watched it this long. I appreciate that. And if you have stayed this long, you are clearly interested in my content and what I've got to say. And because of that, I am very interested in what you've got to say. So please put it in the comments. If anything that I've said is nonsense, you disagree, or if you agree, please put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. I read all of the comments. How do you think United have fared so far under Ruben Amorim? What did you think of the game yesterday against Manchester City? How would you rate some of our stars? Do you feel as though I've given some scores that are a bit too high or a bit too low? What do you think? But whatever it is, put it in the comments, and I look forward to reading them, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.